Now, the way to go most powerfully with this change is to stop identifying who we are with what we are told we are, little me. To stop looking in the mirror and thinking that reflection is me, it's all I am. And looking at ourselves under the microscope, that's who I am. And bringing our point of observation from I am David Icke, a personality born in Leicester, England in 1952, to I am infinite consciousness, all that is, has been, and ever will be, can be, all possibility. Infinite love, having an experience through this lens into this reality that they call David Icke. And again, once we take this observation from that observation, there is a fantastic shift in our energy field. And we break up these densities that are holding us in mental and emotional servitude. Everything starts to change when we move our sense of self-identity. That's why the control system wants us in there. It can't cope with this. We have to be in there. Little me. And this is the fork in the road. Are we going to live our lives as consciousness or mind? As all there is or little me? Because that will decide the kind of world we're going to live in. Escaping the box, and it is a box, it's a vibrational box. Getting out of this thing called cognitive dissonance, where we lie to ourselves. Cognitive dissonance is, for people who haven't come across it, it's a very powerful controlling mechanism whereby we have a belief about self or the world or a situation, and we're sticking with it. And when we face information or experience which challenges the belief, then cognitive dissonance is that uneasy state when you see that your belief system is under threat from this information or this experience. If this is real, then the belief can't be. And what you do then is you go about these incredible stories we tell to ourselves to convince ourselves that this can't be true, to protect the belief system. Cognitive dissonance can be a good thing if that dissonance leads you to look at your belief in the light of this experience or this new information, and then move the belief in the light of that. Then cognitive dissonance is a good thing. What most people do is try to hold the belief system in the face of this. And there's no greater example than the Skeptics Society. You ever come across them, the Skeptics Society? Bloody hell, they are cognitive dissonance.com, they are. I tell you. I've debated with some of them on television programs and stuff, and one of them, his bum kept bouncing on the seat. He had what they call Vitus dance, is it? My mother used to call it, where you can't stop moving, because he was in such cognitive dissonance, because the information he was hearing was so at odds with his belief system, he was kind of going crazy. And so you get people who come up with these amazing bloody stories to try to explain away why something is not challenging their belief system. So again, part of that blank sheet of paper is letting cognitive dissonance serve us. I'm going to look at my belief system instead of holding on till our knuckles turn white. Also, trying to avoid looking at the truth, because if we don't, we ain't going to change anything. Go beyond being in denial of what is happening in our lives and in the world, and start looking at it as it really is. It is what it is, because unless we look at things in that light, instead of trying to find wishful thinking reasons why actually it's not really like that, we're not going to change anything, because we're going to be in denial that anything needs changing. It is what it is, and we need to face it. And it's important to stress this. This control system, this reptilian control system and in all its facets, is not all-powerful, and it's not omnipotent. It's actually bloody stupid. You know, there's such a difference between being clever and being wise. It's very clever to build an atomic bomb, but it's not wise to do so. There is a difference between the two. And these people are very clever, but they're stupid. And cleverness without wisdom is the most destructive force on earth, which is why that's what they are. They have only managed to control humanity because they put us in a smaller box than they're in. Because of their mental and emotional state, fear, wanting to control because of fear and all the rest of it, they are in a vibrational box. They can't access any higher levels of awareness because of their mental emotional state that's holding them in density and their fear. Their fear is being passed on to us through this collective mind. So the only way that they can manipulate and control us is by putting us in a smaller box than they're in, and that's what the suppression of knowledge and awareness and consciousness has been all about. But as we open ourselves to the true nature of ourselves, we can move well beyond any area that they can access. So just because they're technologically advanced intellectually, it doesn't mean they have power over us and they're omnipotent and all-powerful. They're not. They're desperate. Desperate because of the numbers of them to the numbers they're trying to control. And the other thing, I use this analogy a lot, is, like I said earlier, we don't have to find enlightenment. We just have to open our programming to the enlightenment we already are. And it's a testament to the magnificence of what we really are, that this control system has had to throw everything at us. Look at it. All these facets, the food additives, the electromagnetic pollution, the programming through the media, the suppression of education, the suppression of science, all this stuff, they have to throw at us to keep us in servitude. It's like, I use this analogy, if you want to put a ball floating on a tank in an unnatural state, which is where we've been, you have to push it down and you have to hold it there. Because its natural state is floating on the surface, you have to hold it there, because the moment you let it go, zoom, it's gone into its natural state. And symbolically, we've been held on the bottom of the tank by all this stuff that's thrown at us from cradle to grave. And the fact that it needs so much to hold us in this suppressed state shows the magnificence and genius that we really are, we once were and will be again. When I say we, I mean what we call humanity. So as the control system's ability to do that is unraveled, and this is happening, then we're going to go to the top of the tank again, not by finding enlightenment, but by removing that which is keeping us from it. Be afraid, big monsters coming. This is the big area that they control us with, and we need to let go. They're feeding of this fear. Like I say, 1.5 billion people in China controlled by a handful because of fear of challenging the handful. No more fear. I mean, this is such a symbolic picture. Here's all these bloody sheep, and here's two shepherds, and there's a guy at the back. Now, those sheep, symbolic of humanity, can only be controlled in this way because they acquiesce to the shepherds, and the sheepdog symbolizing fear. What if this group of sheep, instead of going ba, 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 and if they want, oh, ruff, ruff, oh, fear, oh, following the one in front, the control system, the shepherd, yeah, oh, he's got the power, he's got a stick, aye. What if those sheep said, oh, look, I'm not following him anymore. And hey, Rover, woof, bloody woof, on your bike, you're not frightening me, okay? I'm over here. I'm over here. I'm over here. I'm going down here. I like that. There's some grass down here. Suddenly, this herd, flock, whatever you want to call it, is scattered because it's expressing its uniqueness and it is not fearing the consequences. These people, apparently all powerful, have no bloody power. None. They'd never find most of them. They might catch them. And that's what humanity's like. We have the numbers. And yet, because we acquiesce through fear of challenging the control system, even though we have the numbers, the handful of people control the many. We have the power. We've chosen not to use it. It's about bloody time we did. God, the answers are there in front of our eyes. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, Albert Einstein. Absolutely it is. So it's pretty certain that if things are going to change in terms of control and suppression and all this stuff, then we've got to stop doing the same thing over and over again, and that is acquiescing to the control system. We're all possibility. What are we doing, thinking that we just do the same thing over and over again? That's one possibility. Let's express our uniqueness and respect each other's right to express our uniqueness. We're all possibility. Actually, one possibility is swimming against the tide. Let's try it. And let's respect each other's right to do that. We should be celebrating diversity. Diversity is an expression of all possibility. It's acquiescence and conformity that is an insult to all possibility. And yet that's what this system wants us to do, conform. And you know, at least sheep need a sheepdog to keep them in line. Humans have out-sheeped the sheep because we keep each other in line. We don't need the sheepdog. We have sheepdogs called parents and teachers and politicians and peer pressure. When we're thinking of expressing our uniqueness, we're not thinking, oh, what will George Bush think or what will Barack Obama think? No. We're thinking, what will my mother think? What will my father think? What will the neighbours think? What will my mates think? What will the people at work think? In other words, what will other people who have chosen to live in this sheep pen think of me getting out of it? It's like sitting in a cell and you find a way out through the door, and instead of another prison warder coming along to stop you getting out, the other prisoners jump on you. That's what we do. If we are going to be what we really can be, and we're going to respect our right to be different, we have to respect others' right to be different as well. Because when we respect other people's right to be different and express their uniqueness, then we're setting them free and we're helping to set society free. We are policing each other all the time through ridicule, through condemnation. We need to start being at peace with other people having different views and expressing different lifestyles than we do, even if we don't like it. This breaks up this sheep policing the sheep. There's only a few who in full knowledge are behind this control system, and they have to get the target population to police the target population. They don't have the numbers to do it themselves. I have a simple philosophy on life, so simple. Do what you like so long as you don't impose it on others. Dead simple. That's it. And I've heard people say to me, that would be anarchy. What about people murdering each other? Well, I think that murder could just about constitute imposing your will on another person. And when you think about that simple philosophy, it overrides all law, need for law, if we live that. We don't need laws that say don't murder when you wouldn't impose yourself on another person. But we can do this. You know, if Henry Kissinger wants to sacrifice George Bush, be my guest as long as you both agreed. Because when you leave the body, you'll feel right prats and you might learn something in your eternity. I get interested when they want to impose things on other people that don't want those things imposed upon them. That's what the control system's trying to do. That's why I'm interested. But express ourselves as long as we're all agreed. And we don't impose it on other people. We have this either or. Someone wants kind of a rave or something, and some people don't want to be affected by all the noise and disruption. And so we say, they can have it, they can't have it. It's either or. Any society that was conscious would say, okay, we can sort this out, okay? They don't want the noise, fair enough, understand that. They want to have a party, a rave, a good time. Okay, now, let's find a place where they can have what they want that don't disrupt anyone else's life. So they can have their experience that they want and no one else is affected. Everyone's a bloody winner. This is either or. Someone must win, so someone must lose, so someone could win. Old epoch consciousness. Winner, winner, win, win. That's the new consciousness. I stand upon my desk to remind myself that we must constantly look at things in a different way. You see, the world looks very different from up here. You don't believe me? Come and see for yourselves. And it does. When you move your point of observation, the world looks so different when we break out of constantly scanning the world from a single point of observation so everything looks the same. From a higher point of observation, things look very, very different. And we can break out into infinite consciousness. Clear our minds. That's another thing, another layer on the onion. It doesn't matter. My goodness me, how we make things matter that don't matter. And it clutters up our mind, it clutters up our emotions, and holds us in low vibrational servitude. I have a thing I call the deathbed perception. You're lying on your deathbed, well, your body is, you're not, and you've got 10 minutes to live. Tell me, looking back at your life, what mattered. You know, in 2004, when that guy cut you up at the lights, and you got out your car and you screamed abuse, and he got out and wanted a fight, does that matter now? No. Then the trick is to make sure it doesn't matter then. To bring that mentality into everyday life. It doesn't matter. We get het up, angry, frustrated. We worry about things. People worry about going to the dentist. Then they go to the dentist and they go, oh, that was all right. What do you mean it was all right? You've been worried sick for 3 weeks. It's destroyed your life for 3 weeks. You tell me it's all right. With no problem. It's bringing this. It does. What really matters? What really matters is loving each other, caring for each other, being kind to each other. What matters is expressing our true magnitude of infinite genius, not acquiescing to meaningless things that we take so bloody seriously. How many things do we look back that got us really het up, frustrated and angry, and we look back, it didn't really matter, did it? Well, don't let it matter then. That's the thing. And then there's what I've long called combing the mirror. Combing the mirror is a crazy thing, because what happens is you want to change your hair, so you comb the mirror. Funnily enough, your hair doesn't change. What you have to do is comb your hair, and then the mirror reflects it. And this so-called out there world is like the mirror. It's not even out there. It's a projection of in here. If we're going to change this apparently out there world, we have to change in here. It's like if this is a movie screen, and I don't like the movie, so I'm going to stand here and I'm going to hurl abuse at the movie screen. Nothing's going to change. I've got to go back to the projector and I've got to change the reel, and then this will change, because this is just an outplaying of that. And the Illuminati control system is delighted, indeed encourages us to believe that we can change the world, if you like, and our lives out there. They want us to comb the mirror because they know nothing's going to change. This is where things change, and we connect with this at what we call the subconscious mind. And it's in the subconscious mind that we interact with this waveform construct. The conscious mind experiences the play-out holographic world, the decoded world. So this is where we have to change things. Because by the time it hits this screen, this holographic decoded world, it's like the movie on the screen. It's a done deal. You ain't got to change that now. You ain't got to change this now. We have to change it before we decode it into experienced holographic reality. There are some people I've been reading, they say 98% of human decisions are made by the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind. I would go further. I'd say 100% of human decisions are made by the unconscious mind. What the conscious mind does is experience them. But the conscious mind can interact and work as one with the unconscious mind if it starts to understand the way reality works. How do we understand what's going on in the unconscious mind, so therefore we can play a part in changing that? By what I call the language of life. The play-out holographic world of experience is a mirror of the information construct, in other words, our unconscious mind in many senses. And the way it plays out, the language of life, as I call it, tells us what's going on in the unconscious. And therefore, we can play a part together, unconscious and the whole of self, in changing and clearing out what is happening in the unconscious, which is playing out in the experienced conscious holographic world. For instance, do things keep recurring in our lives over and over and over again? You'll never guess, it's only happened again. Well, why is that happening to you over and over again and not happening to him at all? What is it within you that's manifesting this? What is it telling you? What is the language of life telling you by what you're now continually experiencing? Why don't things work in your life, but they work in this person's life? What is that telling you? What is it about you that's making it not work? What is it about them that's making it work? The language of life. And you can start to read this, and it's about taking responsibility and saying, oh God, I'm so unlucky, nothing ever happens for me. It's like taking responsibility, power. Why is this happening to me? What is it about me that means this is happening to me and not to them? It's the language of life. He's talking to us. For instance, one of the things that totally bloody controls human experience is a desire for outcomes. We're all possibility. If we live as all possibility, our true self, then we're flowing. We're flowing with life. We haven't got an outcome because we're all possibility. We flow where we want to go, and we flow where life takes us. Once you have an outcome, I want this, then you have pinned yourself to one possibility. And if that possibility doesn't happen, then you're in a state of disappointment. Even though you're all possibility and you can flow anywhere you like, I'm this what I want to be. And it's like a door. And people go through life and they're going, bang, bang, I want to be this, this is my outcome, bang. And the door's going and life's going, ain't opening. Ain't opening. Bang, bang, frustration, anger, why me? And it gets more, okay, now we're going to put this across the door. And they still go, bang, bang, this is my outcome. And then all the time this is going on, over here, there's a door swinging open saying, hey, come through me, no problem. Oh no, I want to be this, bang. And we go through life, and the door doesn't open, and that one's saying, over here. But because we have an outcome, it means it controls our life. And like I said earlier, and suppresses our life. I don't have an outcome. I don't have an outcome. When I get up in the day, I don't have an outcome. I don't have an outcome in my life. I just go where it takes me. Outcomes are limitations, preconceived ideas. Now, intent is a very, very powerful force for change. This is my intent. That energy goes out there, and through what I call vibrational magnetism, it draws towards us what we need to do to achieve that intent. Not when there's an R in the month, and every now and again, every time. So when we have this intent, I want to be truly free. I want it to be the true magnitude of how I am. I want to know what's going on in the world. I want to understand this. What happens is that intent, if you mean it, it's not just words, otherwise it's no power at all, then that intent will start drawing to you people, places, experiences which let you achieve that intent. And often they are very challenging, and your whole life, your old life starts to break down as a result of this. A lot of people go, if that's transforming, no thanks. And we go back to the old life. But intent, if we mean it, is the first stage of transforming our lives from what they are to what they could be. The thing about intent, however, it's the need to sync the intent with what the language of life is telling us. Because if you sync the intent with that door that ain't meant to open, then you can have a very powerful experience called frustration. Because the intent then is not going to open the door because it ain't meant to open because it ain't your journey. I have this thing, flow equals go, stuck equals chuck, or at least look again at what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. It might be how you're trying to do it that's not stopping it flowing. But in the end, life is not meant to be a bitch and then you die. It's not meant to be a series of frustrations and barriers. It's meant to flow. That's what we are. And if it's not flowing, then the language of life is saying something about us. Why isn't it flowing? And interestingly, I've experienced this so many times. I know other people have too. Once you acknowledge what the experience you're having is, maybe one you don't like, is saying about you, you acknowledge it, you bring it to the conscious, boom, there's an energy shift and the problem disappears. The pain in the arse in your life goes out because you've acknowledged it, you've read the language of life, and therefore you don't need to experience that anymore and come to that understanding because you have, and it's gone. Taking responsibility is a very, very fundamental part of this transformation. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. And not taking responsibility is the absolute epitome of giving your power away. When we say it's all your fault that I'm in this situation, whether it's collectively or individually, what we're saying is, I don't have power over my life, you do. Taking responsibility is taking your power back and saying, okay, I'm taking responsibility for this because I have the power to change it. They're not responsible for it, they're just the language of life speaking to me about my responsibility. Therefore, I'm not going to play the blame game. This is my responsibility and I'm going to deal with it. And when we do that, we take our power back and we can change things instead of going through life as a victim of other people's circumstance, which means we're powerless. That's little me. And we ask ourselves, why me? Why am I going through this experience? Well, through the process of vibrational attraction, vibrational magnetism, an expression of us is going out, and an expression of us comes back in the form of people, experiences, locations, jobs, everything. So therefore, what we're putting out is what we're pulling in. Why me? Because we're creating it. Bad luck, good luck, no such thing. Why do some people win? Some people lose. Because some people pull that in, some people pull that in. You get people who they say, you meet them and they say, nothing ever happens in my life. And you say, well, what would you like to happen? And they go, well, I don't know really. Well, I don't know really goes out as a vibrational information field, and what comes back is a life where nothing happens. Why? Because you don't know really. So we're not victims. We think we're victims, and the control system wants us to believe we're victims, because then we will do nothing to change the fact that we're not expressing the power that we have. Why me? Ask yourself, because it's your choice. It's your choice and my choice in the sense of there's not some guy with an AK-47 on some other dimension saying to our consciousness, get in that body or I shoot. And in the same way, once we get in here, we attract what we attract. And when we take responsibility for that, we can stop attracting it. Why me? It's like the Oracle said in the Matrix, you've already made the choice. Now you have to understand it. You didn't come here to make the choice, you've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it. And as the message from the psychic 20 years ago said, arduous seeking is not necessary. The path is already mapped out, you only have to follow the clues. We are guiding you along a set path. If we get caught in mind and the limitations of mind, then we can not go along that path. Because mind is telling us, oh no, you don't do that in this world because you have to do this and you conform and all the rest of it. The difference is that when we make the choice of the path we want to journey on in this reality, in what we call a life, we're doing it from this perspective of perception. When we're trying to understand why we made it, we're doing it from this level of perception. So this sees it on one level, and this is going, I'd agreed to this, you must be having a laugh. Never. Well, this is seeing it in a different light. And it's the same collectively. Why us? Why are we here at this time now as this cusp of change is going on? Same thing. You've already made the choice, now you have to understand it. You didn't come here to make the choice, you already made it. Now you have to try to understand why we made it. Instead of complaining at the situation we're in, and again, this made the choice, this is trying to understand it. Once you break out of this into this, you then start to understand it, because you see what we're experiencing from a totally different perspective. For instance, this sees, in the journey down the symbolic river, this sees the next turn on the river, no further. This sees the whole river from source to sea. So this is seeing an experience in the moment that this is having in a completely different way to how this is seeing it. For instance, you're going down the river on a canoe, it springs a leak. You paddle across to the bank and you sit there and you're angry and you're frustrated. Why me? Why am I so unlucky? And then some guy comes across and says, hey mate, you were so bloody lucky. There's a bloody waterfall around that next turn. And we can even override that through intuition. When we intuitively access this, we intuitively know, no, I'm going to stop for the day here. I'm not going to go any further today. And this might be saying, oh, we can go further. I'm not going any further. It's so many things we can be protected from by following our intuition. Why are we here collectively? We're here to break the spell. We're here to break the spell on the human collective mind. What a great thing. What a great thing to play a part in. To break this spell and to stop this human experience becoming this. And in the next few years, like I say, they're going to throw everything in desperation, like the cornered rat, trying to hold on to a control system that's falling. This is where we're going to need to have this perspective of I am consciousness, I'm having an experience, because that will make it so much easier as we go through this transformation and challenge, because if we're in this world and of it, those people are going to find the next few years very, very difficult. Because they will not have a perspective of what's going on, except everything's going crazy, and my God, what's going to happen next? This is a great line from a song. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Isn't it amazing how when you no longer have anything to lose, the butterfly emerges? Because it's fear of loss that keeps us in servitude so much. And when you've got nothing left to lose, suddenly all that's left is freedom. And that is going to be a very powerful experience that a lot of people are going to have in this next period of challenge as this cusp moves on. Just when the caterpillar thought life was over, it became a butterfly. It's amazing that when you're in, so many people have told the story that it was in their lowest moment of despair that boom, something emerged and transformed them. Nothing left to lose.